Morning.
Morning. My compliments to the many participants, the mayor, council, and many participants in these Memorial Day activities. Those, of course, who made it happen. Thank you. For me, this is a day of remembrance of my family's generations of service. This is a Little Silver family story. First, I will introduce some of my family, all of whom have a role in these comments. Anne DeRee Leidner Westerfield, my wife of 40 years. Her son Tom Leidner, wife Shelley, and daughter Annika. Heard somewhere. DeRee Leidner, ex-Lynch, is today at Fort Riley, Kansas, helping with her first grandchild, our first great-grand. However, the father of the lynch mob, the new grandfather, Tor Lynch, is here, I think. DeRee is often seen at this Little Silver Memorial Garden at our wreath ceremony in the fall. She represents prisoners of war and missing in action. There's a memorial stone on this path, right over here, the outside path, the last stone, dedicated to DeRee's grandfather, Captain Albert DeRee, who died as a Japanese prisoner of war, January 20, 1945. He is Anne's dad, and DeRee is his namesake. After almost 3 years as a prisoner of war in various Philippine camps, Albert died in his third Japanese held ship. Japanese held ship, the Brazil Morrow, was nearly at its destination in Japan. His body was disposed of at sea along the Chinese coast. Albert's death and 1,000 more prisoners of war was due to friendly fire, the need to sink Japanese shipping. Just remember the term, Japanese hell ship. A few years ago, an author, Sally Mott Freeman, was here in this area regarding her book, The Jersey Brothers. Those Jersey Brothers were from Ocean Fork, right down the street, just beyond Fort Monmouth. The house is still there. Her uncle Bart, one of the Jersey Brothers, was a POW along with Albert DeRee and died on the same ship just a few days later. Friendly fire, etc. Annika, at the conclusion of this ceremony this morning, would you place this POW MIA flag with the lynch mob on your great-grandfather's memorial stone, please? Sure. Audio visual, always a problem. But fast forward to Little Silver, where DeRee's 6 children, each born at Riverview Medical Center, have almost all completed our schools. Son Aiden Lynch, an ROTC grad, is now a first lieutenant and commander of 4 Abrams tanks, the 1st Infantry Division at Fort Riley, Kansas. He is also a ranger and a paratrooper, and just returned from Germany training Ukrainian troops on his tanks. He is the new dad. Maddie, the mom of our first great-grandchild, is also our first lieutenant. Very much an Army family. Tara Lynch, about to graduate from RBR. Tara's here somewhere. There she is a recipient of an ROTC scholarship at University of Rhode Island, as she has civil engineering studies at nearby Roger Williams University. This is similar to Aiden's route. I also recognize our grandson-in-law, Tegan Lynch's husband, Nico Martirano. Nico, here he is. Nico is a New Jersey State Trooper and just retired after 7 years New Jersey National Guard, 1 year of which was spent in Jordan. If you've been following the newspapers, we've recently had casualties of U.S. troops in Jordan. My son-in-law, Texan Tobin Ross, husband of my daughter Millicent, had several tours under the sea as officer on nuclear submarine USS Lapon. On June 25, 1950, South Korea was attacked from the north, and the U.S. went to war. I was almost 19, hadn't been to college, was pumping gasoline at my father's station near my hometown of Patchogue, Long Island. This was my chance to serve, having been too young for World War II. But starting at age 13, not much different than these big guys who were here a minute ago, I had 4 years of service in New York State Guard and later in National Guard. My joining the Army seemed a good thing to do. 6 months later, I was in Central Korea, a basic rifleman in an infantry company of the 2nd Division. We were part of the United Nations police action, which included troops of some 25 countries. The word war was not to be used. This was in mountainous terrain, much too frozen solid to dig a foxhole. My feet were freezing, my canteen froze solid. We're still in summer uniforms. Logistics again. I spent a year firing 81 millimeter mortars. During the 4-month winter-spring of 1951, my 3rd Battalion of the 23rd Infantry Regiment accumulated 3 distinguished unit citations: Twin Tunnels, Chip Yong Knee, and the May Offensive, while I was awarded the Combat Infantryman's Badge and a Bronze Star. All this effort was part of pushing Chinese and North Korean troops out of South Korea. Leadership was in very short supply because of ongoing casualties, but also later a rotation scheme to get troops home. By the end of that year, I was a 20-year-old Master Sergeant home for Christmas 1951. For more about this Korea, what, why, how, when, and also the battles I mentioned, see The Coldest Winter, published in 2007 by David Halberstam. 6 months later, I was back in Korea for a 2nd year, in same infantry unit. On my way back to Korea, I ordered beer in a San Francisco bus station. It was carded. You guys know about following rules. It was a few days before my 21st birthday, and I was rejected. Shortly after, on a troop ship on my 3rd Pacific crossing, I was put in a sick bay after diagnosis of malaria, apparently left over from the earlier Korea tour. A year later, I was discharged, courtesy of GI Bill, a freshman at Syracuse University in upstate New York. Also a very cold place. Our UN police action, later called the war, continued along the 38th parallel, where troops remain today. Some 70 years later, continued to be governed by a frequently broken armistice agreement. A peace treaty has never been achieved. Finally, a quote from Ronald Reagan: "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed over for them to do the same." So that's my family Memorial Day story. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to ask you to give it up one more time for the Master Sergeant, who at 93 years old just stepped up and did what his government asked him to do again.